Welcome back to Tampa Bay Today at Money Talk 1010 a.m. I am Schreiner along with our executive producer, Pat George, and we're having a little business roundup discussion here in the studio with our general sales manager here at Beasley Media Group. Jay Mulligan is joining us once again. Good morning, Jay. How you doing?
Good morning. Doing really well. Thank you.
I really like our Friday conversations because I think it gives a lot to people that are interested in advertising everything from radio to digital and all the wonderful things that we can do for them. But maybe it's new to them. Maybe they're worried about budgets. Maybe they're worried about return on investment, ROI, and things like that. So we have these conversations to kind of give people kind of a crash course into it at no charge because we're doing it free on the radio, and people get to learn aspects of what radio and advertising and marketing can do for them and how we can target the people that they need to reach and what their messaging should be if they need help with that. All the resources that we have with, well, throughout our company. How many thousands of employees do we have? And the people that this is what we do. And you are one of my favorite people to work with, so I'm glad that you're the one that they tap to come in here. So I think everybody else is afraid of me.
Yeah, it was originally going to be like 4 or 5 people, like a rotation.
And they're like, no, Jay, you're doing a great job. And I'm like, listen, you guys send people to talk with me all the time, and they always go back going, that was so much fun and a great experience. I really learned a lot, because that's one of the things that this show, Tampa Bay Today, is for, is to bring in people that have businesses and products and services, charities here in the Tampa Bay, and give them the opportunity to get their message out. And we do that. When you're interviewing with me, there's no charge to it. It's just something that we wanted to do for our community. And it also gives them the opportunity to learn more from the other side of the building, where we do all of our business and how we can help theirs grow. And it's a great introduction. And yet I can't get our market manager to come in here. Steve Triplett, calling you out. Ken Denton, I'm calling you out.
Oh.
Another one of our GSMs here. You all need to come in here because each of you has more to contribute than just what Jay's doing. Not that yours is not valuable, but I'd like to expand on what we're doing, because you never know when you're going to get that nugget that changes somebody's business plan and changes their life. So today, what did you want to talk about? How did you want to approach the concepts of marketing and helping businesses succeed?
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about tracking and attribution. So how to make sure your marketing campaign is working. There's a lot of different ways. And to your point earlier about having the other people in the building come in for the show, you're right. That's one of the things that makes us good at what we do, right, is the people that we have working here and the strengths that each one of them has, right? So like Steve Triplett's one of the smartest guys I know, especially when it comes to marketing. Ken Denton, one of the best managers in the business as a whole, managing employees and also right, clients. So these guys bring a ton to the table. So we will get them in here hopefully next week.
Well, one of the great things is, and you hit on some very salient points, like with Ken being a great manager. He's one of those people that sometimes when I have the opportunity, which I admit is not often enough, go to his office, and if he has a minute, sit down and just kind of chat and see what's going on in a part of the business that I sometimes get removed from because I'm so busy with my responsibilities. And then you start learning things that are happening and how everything's connected. And it's an orchestra of work to put it all together. So we have a great team here, and I'm glad that you're here to talk about this today. So let's get into attribution and tracking successes, and how do we do that? So what are some of the things that somebody who wants to know that they're being successful with their advertising dollars and their message, how would you help them? Yeah,
so, and I always bring this back because I want everybody to understand that this program is based on things that happen during the week, right? So any conversations we have with clients during the week,
right,
and then how that might affect anybody that's listening or watching this now.
Right, we're almost real-time conversations of problems that develop for us and the solutions that we implement to have success for our clients, the advertisers.
Yeah, so this week we were working with an advertiser on ads, particularly with Google, and their dynamic number insertion. So basically what that means is you put a code on a website, and the phone number on the ad that you see will then match the phone number on the website when you go there. So it eliminates confusion, and when somebody calls into that business, they'll understand that phone call came from that particular ad because it lines up with the phone number.
Right.
So that's a good way for some businesses to track where the phone calls are coming from. The thing is that a lot of times people aren't going to make an action immediately, right? So they'll see an ad, regardless of what phone number is there or not, the ad will make an impression like, okay, I understand that this is a plumbing company I want to reach out to later because I'm not in a position right now to make the call or whatnot.
Yeah, how often do we see that? We hear an ad on the radio, but you're in your car driving, you get where you're going, and then you're like, oh, I remember that, or I saw it online when you were scrolling through TikTok and it popped up, or whatever you were doing, Google searches, and you're like, I'll remember that for later. Now, what's the problem, though, with the dynamic number insertion if they come back later?
Well, so if they come back later and they don't click through that ad,
right,
they'll go to the regular website. They might Google the name of the business, go to the regular website, and then the main number, not the dynamic number, will pop up.
Right.
And they'll call that. So then the ad that you had will not get credit.
The one that triggered the response.
Right.
It actually worked, but you don't have the way to track it.
So a lot of times when you track particular ways, you're cutting out a lot of the business that's been developed from that advertising campaign because you were so specific in that one aspect of it and how to track it.
So my question is, and I think I have a thought here, and this is where Jay will tell me that I could be very, very wrong. But the other thing you can do to kind of loosely follow that is timing of campaigns, right? Is that if you're starting to do dynamic lead insertion and you're starting to see results, but not through that number, but at times with the beginning of that marketing campaign, would that be something you could go, well, they're seeing it, but they're then coming back later?
Yes. So,
or am I wrong?
No. So you're right. So one of the things that, and we talked about this last week with the ROI conversation, is that a business owner needs to have a good baseline as to where their business is now. Right. So prior to you doing anything new with marketing, understand, okay, this is how much business I'm having right now.
Right.
This is where the areas where I'm getting the business from geographically or demographically, like these are who are buying from me. And then when you do a new campaign, how is that changing, right?
Right.
Are you seeing a rise in business in this particular area, this particular demographic? And usually if you are, that new marketing campaign is working.
Right.
So whether or not they came directly from the ad or came back later, you're seeing a rise in revenue. Now, in certain situations, like if we are in a downturn, say the economy's in a recession or what have you, being flat is a win sometimes.
Yes.
So if your competitors are down 20%, but you're flat, that's a win. So you have to really understand what, where you were and where you're going, and look at it over time. Because a lot of times you got to look at it over like a longer duration,
right?
And not necessarily like that day or that
week.
Yeah.
I actually had this conversation the other night, and I didn't realize it till just now, but our earlier conversation about that very thing, I applied it in real life. They were talking about how difficult things have been, and they were pulling back a little bit. And I'm like, well, what you're doing is leaving an opening for a competitor to step into the space you just vacated.
Yep.
You're pulling back. They may increase, and they're going to take over that market space with marketing plans and promotions and awareness to the community. And when we come out of this and you're ready to go back in, they're going to own it. So you may want to rethink that. And his brow furrowed. And he goes, I'm not sure I like what you said. I'm like, yes, but you don't like it for the right reasons. We'll talk more, And it's like, I couldn't believe that these conversations, and that's what we're trying to do. There are people that have great ideas, and they've got a small business. So many people during what many call the Great Resignation are starting their own thing. But if they don't know how to approach it, and maybe they've never heard of dynamic number insertion, and this is a new thing for them. We've all experienced it, like Grubhub. If you go to a web page for a restaurant and you click on the phone number that you think is there, it may be going to a delivery service, which means they get more of the money instead of the restaurant you're calling because it went through a third party. These are all things that can happen, and we have to be aware of. So, this discussion today about how to track your success of campaigns plays well into all of that.
Yeah, and listen, there's a place for all different kinds of tracking, right? So we have. You can put UTM codes. He's got his social video going at the same time.
Yeah, we're live at Money Talk 1010 as well right now on the Facebook page.
Yeah. So Shriner, like I don't know when I see these videos, I don't know how to react. I just stop mid sentence and start waving.
Ignore it. Just
hey,
do your thing.
But so. You can do UTM codes or tags on websites. Mm-hmm. So when you if you go to a URL and you see like a backslash and then like a really long like tag at the end, that's like a UTM tag,
right? Which
actually a lot of people don't know this stands for Urchin Tracking Module. So it's a weird name. It's a business, basically Google acquired in 2005. This business that did the UTM.
I kind of feel like Urchin is might be a backhanded insult, but go ahead. Let's continue.
So tracking pixels are another one because
Right.
that will actually show the journey of a particular buyer. This is from when they saw the ad to when they went to the website to when they actually purchased.
Nice.
Which is a good way to track. We also have what else do we have going on here? Cookies is a way, like you'll see when you go to websites. A lot of times they'll say, "Do you accept the cookies?" That's a way to build like a user profile of somebody and helps customize a campaign towards them,
Right.
and even their website experience based on that user's behavior. So that's kind of a cool way to track and modify a advertising campaign to be more customized to a user.
And people are seeing more and more announcements about the use of cookies because I think didn't they pass some legislation or they're working toward it? They're making it more of an industry standard that we have to be informed of what's being done with our behavior on the internet and how websites are used. So you have the opportunity on many of these sites to go to your settings and either allow certain things to be done or not done, or you can deny them all.
Correct.
So these are options that are being done to protect us because data mining is very helpful. It can be a great use for the consumer because you are getting targeted with things you need more often. But on the other hand, it also gives the businesses the opportunity to find people that are responsive to their product, service, or business. Now, if I happen to be doing a search for my niece so I can buy her an American Girl doll, I'm going to start seeing girly toys a lot because of this type of behavior. Then I have to go search for bourbons and motorcycles and things like that to get me back on track with what I'm interested in. All right, so more about tracking successive campaigns. What else do we have?
Yeah, so outside of just relying on these particular tracking methods are good, but like we said earlier, show like a small percentage of the overall impact of that campaign, if you will,
Right.
Because a lot of people go later on. You're making a solid impression. Also, when tracking a particular user or their experience, just like in the beginning when digital advertising came out, everybody wanted to get hyper focused on a particular target, right? If they were selling fishing poles,
Right.
they would say, I just want people that fish, right? Like, why would I advertise to anybody else besides people that fish? And the reason why you would advertise other people outside of that is you want to hit the people in the circle of influence of the person that fishes or fish too. Because the wife of that person or the husband might want to buy a gift for the person that needs a fishing pole, right?
Like me and the doll for my niece, it's like not something I'm interested in. I'm looking to shop for someone else.
Yeah. So, back in the day with baby stuff, like a lot of the purchases, I think over 50% came from other people besides the mother. So it was the aunts and the uncles and the grandparents all buying gifts and baby strollers and diapers and things like that. So if you eliminate that percent of the audience because you're only focusing on moms, you're missing out on a lot of business.
Yeah, I would say more than 50% of your business opportunities and people that would be interested in the product or service in that case.
Yeah.
If you're eliminating everybody but the mother of the child, you're really cutting back on your marketing exposure.
Yeah, you are. So targeting and tracking are very important.
Right.
But you have to expand. And like with the tracking part of it, A/B testing some things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like particularly advertising this product, and you see if there's a rise with that product in at the business, because that's what you're focusing on,
Right.
or this other product. So you do two, right? What's working and what's not. Same thing with geography. Try out different zip codes. Did we see a lift in this zip code with business compared to where we were before? Or did it go down flat? Where are you?
Right. And I know that for decades, if you're talking about geography or demographics and things like that, even long before the internet and that type of marketing came into our purview, we were tracking college, education levels, income levels, backgrounds, all these different elements that make up our lives. And we would be able to target radio ads in certain, in the same way. So you're doing all of that. You're doing geography, you're doing products, and you're trying to see what products work with which demographic and in which geographical location. It's a lot to keep track of. How do we do all that?
I mean, there's dashboards, there's everything else that record all this, right?
It's because we have the staff to manage it,
Yeah.
and it's like we constantly upgrade the training when new concepts, when we see successes in another market, we'll bring them in, train people here how to do all that. It's the manpower, and this goes back to Ken Denton, who we want to get in here, and how he manages his team.
Right.
These are all important things, and we have that staff so that we can do this for the people that want to reach our audiences.
Yeah. So, earlier you mentioned radio when you're in the car and then somebody can't respond to an ad right away. So as far as tracking goes, even in radio now, we have digital tracking, right? So we have Beasley Analytics here that you're probably familiar with, that we can show how many people go to somebody's website within 8 minutes of hearing a commercial, one of their commercials.
Right. It's a little scary, by the way.
Yeah, it's scary. But the thing is, way more people are going to go after the 8 minutes, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, but it gives us enough data in some cases to say, okay, this commercial seems to be working really well, and this one's not getting a response at all.
Because sometimes we'll see a quicker response to it. Is that one of the analytics that you look at, how fast they respond to it, or the volume?
It's really volume in that case and within a particular time period.
Okay.
And then also what time of day, right? So, okay, early morning, the thought is during drive time with radio that's going to be the hot spot. But sometimes we see with different businesses that the middle of the day works better or late at night works better. So we can change investment levels for an advertiser to the benefit of the advertiser spending less, because in certain situations they don't need to do a time period that they're in and can put it more into a more affordable day part. But these analytics and tracking help with that. But it only tells a portion of the story, because the vast majority of people are going to go well after the 8 minutes, right? So but again, if you have a baseline of where your business was prior, and then you started a radio campaign in this instance, you'll know if it's working or not, because you'll feel it.
Yeah, and our people will be asking those questions when they meet with these different advertisers. Okay, where are you now and where do you want to go? And we're going to start figuring out what that baseline is so we can make these judgments and help them track the success of their campaigns, because ultimately we want everybody that we work with to be phenomenally successful, because that's good for everybody. It's good for the business owner, it's good for us, and it's good for the community because they're getting the services and products they need.
Yeah, so this is the main thing of our lives here is to help businesses grow.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what we come in every day trying to figure that out.
I've spent so many years in the music side of the industry, playing at rock stations and being that, the hot rock and flame throwing DJ and at work listening or whatever I was doing. And so many people thought that we made our money as radio stations by playing music.
Yeah.
And that is the one thing we don't do. Playing music costs us money.
Right.
And the way we make money is with advertising. So we want the best possible product and services and bringing the right message to the right people so everybody benefits. And if we do it right, everybody wins.
Yep. And I want to just do one other mention on tracking. So this weekend we have an event called Kids Day.
Yeah.
It's at Raymond James Stadium. Santa Claus is even going to be there, Christmas in July.
It's me.
But even with events, right? So this is a good tracking scenario. If somebody with us signs up for one of our events, we, depending on the campaign they buy, we include them in promos, right? That run on air. So they'll be on site where they'll actually have an interactive experience with the audience and be able to share their business and samples or what have you, sell things. But a lot of the power that comes from the campaign is the radio campaign and also the digital element if we do co-branded social or on a website. So their ad will be seen and heard by millions of people. At the event, though, we might have 10,000 people, right, which is a good-sized event. So let's say they thought 12,000 people were going to come. They're like, but only 10,000 come. They'll say, there's only 10,000 people, but you said 12,000. So they're tracking the amount of people that came to the thing. What a lot of people miss is that's only a small fraction of the punch that you got, because the main punch was from the marketing that led up to the event.
And we've been talking about this for 3-4 weeks now as we started to roll out what was coming to Tampa Bay and all the different things for kids and for families and everything that's going to be at Raymond James Stadium on Sunday, which is going to be from, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Sunday at Raymond James. We're going to have people out on the field. We're going to have the opportunity for you to have your photo taken on the Bucks pirate ship, your photo with Santa, and Mason Dixon's Christmas wish fund is there. We got a whole little Christmas set up, and then all the different vendors that have ideas and products and services and concepts for families that across demographics and geography. It's all going to be in one place, and the people that got in that are going to be there are part of the marketing that led up to it, and they are part of the attraction. So we are definitely spreading the awareness of these businesses so that they get that touch. And you're exactly right. They don't have 5 hours of exposure to 10 or 12,000 people. They have weeks, a month of exposure on multiple levels of platforms, from radio to digital, online marketing, and everything that we do and get involved in. They're a part of all of it.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And,
it's a great thing.
It's a fantastic thing. Anything else to add today, Jay? We went really long, and I love it.
Did we go long?
Yeah.
Oh,
See,
wow.
that's how these conversations go.
I know. We got to get Steve and Kennedy. They're easy. They go quick.
See, look, I got him in here, and he thought maybe 10, 12 minutes. No, I've had him. You've been in here for 25.
All right. Well, then we're good.
Yeah, we got to go.
So much.
We're going to cut this. We'll be right back. This is Tampa Bay Today at Money Talk 1010 a.m. I am Schreiner, along with Jay Mulligan, one of our general sales manager. Pat George is over there. So, and we are also live on the Money Talk 1010 Facebook page. Just go there, Money Talk 1010, like, follow, share. Here's a little tip for you. Don't like a business or a product or even me if you're not going to be involved. If you're just going to scroll past, you're going to hurt me. Like the things that you like and engage with them. So if there's a business that you like or a band or whatever, if they do something, hit like, comment, because that will help expand their message. Same for me. If you go to Money Talk 1010, like it, fine. Just hit like on when we do these little videos. If you see a story you like, share it or make a comment. We'll respond, but that will help our business grow. The same thing for your friends that have businesses. When they all send you that invite, make sure that you are engaged with them on those social platforms. Otherwise, they suppress you. This is Tampa Bay Today at Money Talk 1010 a.m. We'll be right back.